I had a cool idea for the dig movement, because at first I thought this would be alright. It's going to be basically the same as fly, but down the way instead of up. But then I thought um, I need to build some sort of way of telling if you should be allowed to dig down and if you should be allowed to dig out of a certain tile. And so that's like a worm enemy that it has to use dig movement to move around because it can't walk. It stays in the earth. And so you can have stone floors and slabs that stop the worm from moving to those spots, and it can only move around in the earth tiles. So suddenly I'm a lot more interested in building this because it's kind of cool. But it means I need to build a way of registering what kind of floor we have. And that's tricky because I wanted to have a fairly open game where this map could be 100 tiles long, 100 tiles wide, and the game would still comfortably be able to handle it without having thousands of objects on the screen as tiles, etc. So that's why I built the grid system and the node pathfinding. But now I'm talking about basically adding metadata to every piece of floor to say this is earth, this is earth. Oh, that's a stone. That's a stone. This is earth. Um, so I think there's no real way around it. I either have to pick, you mark floor that you can dig in, or you mark floor that you can't dig in. And both have their downsides, of course. A map like this, it's pretty much all earth and a little bit of wood, bit of water. If I say, oh, well, there's less wood and water here, so we'll mark each of those points that you can't go there. You can't go there. But then what happens if you go to a castle ground and every piece of it's stone? Then suddenly every single piece of floor we're marking off as undiggable or restrict dig or something. So I'm thinking it might be built in the same way that we have built the battle map, and we've put a little piece of code on each object to say uh, generate a mesh on the upper side of this. So I may do something similar where maybe have an object called terrain, and in here I could say water, pop in maybe a box collider, turn the gizmos on so I could see it. Make this quite small. Like we don't want a large collider here. Slide it along to the water. How big is this? It's going to be 3 by 2. Okay, what's that? 0.5 and 6. But then it's going to be down to about here-ish. 0.75 So now this is a collider that we can attach a piece of script to say block dig. So if any of these positions, if we want to check a position, if it can be dug up, we'll have to run some code that says check this one position I want to move to. If we can detect a box collider and some kind of layer problem here, restrict dig. Oh, yeah, restrict dig is fine. So yeah, now if maybe a utility code or something can say check this point, do the sphere overlap again, and if we find a restrict dig item, then we can't dig there. This is probably the best solution that I would come up with. You can do whole chunks at a time. You know, you can do the same thing for the top of the wood to say you can't really dig here. It's a wooden structure. You're covering a large piece of ground at once. One collider does a whole area, and maybe the battle map can just be built a bit smarter. You don't need one object to be most of the ground. You can build it separately. You can have one chunk of area that is just the water. You can have a chunk that's just the wood here. You can have a chunk that's this raised up part of the ground, and then another bit that's stone or something. So if this is built smarter, I can attach a whole lot of these objects where it needs to go. And you know, you can just do a single one. If this is like a, say this is a just a stone slab, then it becomes 1, 1 again. You just set it wherever uh, the tile is. So I guess it's 1, and then that would be the one stone slab. And again, when something checks if this is available or not or diggable, you sphere overlap, check if you hit a collider, check if the object you hit has a restrict dig layer, and if it does, then you can't walk there. So for a worm-like creature, we would attach the dig movement. The dig movement will operate a lot like warp because you can move through objects, but you can't finish where something is. And then with that added caveat of check the last position to make sure it's actually diggable, we're golden. We're absolutely fine. Yeah, I think this will work. I think it's a pretty cool system, and I think it would add a bit of a cool dynamic to the game, where there might be a limited area you can move to try and keep safe and keep away. Maybe if you land, maybe if the worm digs out of the ground and is right next to you, it can use a swallow attack or something, and maybe it one-shots your party member or something. But then if you move into the middle of a stone path and it can't reach you in a melee attack, maybe then it just spits acid or something and it's not as deadly. So yeah, it's quite cool. I think that's a fun bit of code, so I'm going to add that to the game. So this restrict dig, this is set as walkable, and we've got that in the config here. So I'm going to add the same thing. Public layer mask, restrict dig layer mask. So anything that needs to check can just ask the config variable what that is. I am going to set it now because I always forget. So restrict dig. Let's see. We will go into movement first. So we already have the option here. Dig, move, action. Send in those two variables. Private void, dig, move, action. We're going to take the same as the other ones. And then action, callback. And we don't actually have the action yet, so I'll flick back and duplicate warp. And move action, copy warp. And see, we've got 4 of these now. It's quite nice to keep them in their own folder. So just a little bit quicker to find whatever you're working with. Okay, so same deal. It's basically going to work the same, but instead of this scale thing where we become smaller, I guess we just move into the ground and become invisible. So this is kind of like the do local move Y, and we'll have some kind of value of how far down we go, which I think is just going to be 1 to make sure you go the whole way down. Or I guess it depends on how tall our units are. Maybe just say 2, just to make sure that the entire thing goes down. So we'll add some more values here. Battle unit, dig, lower and raise speed, since it's a different order really. And also the height. So public float, battle unit, dig, dig height. Right, do local move, config, instance. Let's just neaten this up a bit. Dig height. So we're going to go down the dig height. And it's going to be battle unit, dig, lower and raise speed, and wait for the completion. Now let's just copy this and paste it in here, as we will just be going back to 0 again. Okay, so back here we will take the dig move action equals new dig move action, pass in the parent battle unit and the move position we're interested in. Dig move action, set level, just the same as the other ones. And you know, if you really wanted to, this can, you know, I will do it just to be a bit better with code. Add action to queue. Okay, we've already got something like that, so I need to be a bit better about the wording. Push action into queue. So we will add action. Wait, what have I called this? Base action. Move action. And then callback action, callback. Because technically this is all the same. Like, this is all the same code that we're doing here. We don't really need it. So we just say move action dot set level 0, because all them set level to 0. Set the callback to that, and then add it to the action queue system. So this doesn't need to be a thing anymore. We just say push action to queue, put in that, and then the callback. We'll just copy this and then change the name. This is walk action. Okay, now paste in and do fly, and then do dig. So there we go. There's getting rid of some repeated code. All we do is push an action and a callback, and then we will set it and add it to the system, to the queue. So dig. We obviously haven't added the cool bit yet. To height 0.5. We don't want to waste people's time. So this is the one that can dig, right? Is that true? Wrong character. Dig, yeah, okay. So let's see. Goes under the ground and then breaks. The grid system is broken. Okay, so something equals nothing. Oh, what move, dig, move action. Uh, the battle unit is moving when it shouldn't. It should be the visual thing, battle unit visual. Let's just do exactly the same and see if it broke. Let's see if it breaks, because I think that was the problem last time. When we moved the battle unit, when we try to use its position, it will use the new position as in some point under the ground, which is obviously not a good thing. So let's see. Are we good now? Move. Let's go here. Seems fine. The turn controller isn't capturing it, so it's not going to reduce the what do you call it? The movement. It doesn't reduce the movement, so we'll add that in. Turn controller, where are you? So walk, warp, fly, and now dig move action on step. Movement reduced by E step cost, and then we always remember we always remember to add the unsubscribe. We always remember that. Never forget. So I don't even need to test that. I am absolutely certain. Nah, I should test it. So we want to go 1, 2, 3. And that leaves us 3 because this lady can move 6. And you can move through people. Wonderful. And she's out of movement. So the next stage is um, it's in pathfinding, I think. In here, we already have some way of saying if we're walking, care about this. Now we need to add one that says if we are digging, care about this. So if movement type equals dig and is position diggable. Private static bool is position diggable, and we'll pass in a position. Position to check. Probably need to put it in there as well, right? since I've done it with everything else. Okay, I'm confident in this. I think this will be good. So I'm just going to copy this and then check over what it does. So we've got a vector3 int position to check. So that's my sort of fake position in the world as 1 on the y is 1 step. So we turn it into a real world position, which is simply taking the y, multiplying it by the step height. And then we get colliders from an overlap sphere at that position. Sphere radius is fine. And this is a different layer mask, restrict dig layer mask. So if the hits are greater than or equal, if the hits are greater than 0, return false because the point we found should restrict digging. If we find nothing that restricts digging, return true. So this, in theory, should work already. I am just gonna continue. Okay, so I'm gonna comment this out first of all because I forgot to actually do like a good solid pre-test. So my pre-test is going to be to go in the water. So as we see, it already doesn't work for some reason. You can't move to that position. Why? So reachable positions don't contain that. Why? Is it to do with her jump height? This is 0.75. I wonder if she's only got 2 jump height. So let's just change that. 2 jump, so I don't think she would be able to get down there. So let's just say 4, which should be 1, and I think that's 0.75, so this should be fine now. Yep, so quite clearly, she can get down there now. She can move around all over the place. A little bit popping at the bottom, so maybe the bedrock needs to be too tall just to cover any little slippage here. Again, this is something that really doesn't matter so much, but it doesn't matter right now is what I mean. It's something that could be added later on. Yeah, when you're trying to polish things up, maybe that would matter more. Or you know what, another idea is to move them down, but also reduce their size as they move down. So when you come down here, you're actually flat on the Y. So looks like they're moving down, but they shrink to nothing. So you don't need to go so far down and then move. That might be an idea. For dig, maybe squish the unit, bar unit on the Y scale. So you don't have to go so far down. Means I can have the smaller bedrock which I think looks better. Alright, so the test there was, can you move into the water? And yeah. So now I uncomment this and see if Dig will stop being allowed to go into the water because we've told it so. Moment of truth. So far looks good. Yep, you can't dig there anymore. Brilliant. So, you know, that was a pretty quick video. And I think that's probably it. I think that's probably the whole dig system, unless I think of something else or find a problem with it. But yeah, essentially all it is there's a dig movement that some people can have, and they can only move to another area as long as it's not marked with restrict dig. Everybody else is fine. Yeah, fly, boom. Maybe the fly speed is so slow. Oh, let's just edit fly while I'm here. No point making a really small video, right? Okay, let's see where flying is. Um, we have is it a move speed? Battle unit move speed. Let's change that to walk speed. Then we'll have fly speed. I thought that would change everywhere, so that's weird. Battle unit walk speed, we'll just put it in. Where else is it screaming? Okay, fly speed. But this is where it's different. We don't want to do that. We don't really care about the height difference. We're just going to move there anyway. So let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of all this jumping around. Yep, height difference, we don't care. Just move to the point that we are telling you at this speed. And we can do the shortened form as well now that we're not trying to do anything smart here. Just return this dot wait for completion, and then we'll get rid of this. All right, let's see how it looks. There might be a bit of awkwardness if he floats through things, but it's worth seeing how it looks. I've also forgotten to add these because when you change something, the value gets nulled, so or reset. So the walk speed I think was 0.25. The fly speed, let's make it 1.5, just not quite half, but a bit quicker. Straight. There's a bit of a glitch there. I wonder what that is. That doesn't look bad, actually. That looks better than I thought it would. He goes, wham. He fucking wham. Hmm. This is how quick we want to move one unit by. Let's grab a float, real distance between points equals vector 3 distance. Now, again, I think this dot distance nonsense is quite slow. So if I start to see any slowdowns, this could be a place that might be worth looking into. I guess it doesn't do this very often, so it's probably fine. If you're doing this a lot within loops that happen all the time, then it would probably be a concern. But I guess this seems fine. So the distance is so we got the real world new position. Oh, we've also got the battle unit. So battle unit position vector 3 and the real world new position. That's what we want. And we're going to multiply the fly speed by the real distance between points. Because we want it to take that amount of speed per unit. So if it's going down, it's going to be more than one unit. We don't want it to just go wham really quick. Or maybe you do. Maybe you do. Let's go fly at the top. That looked much smoother. Let's do the same back down the way. Yeah, I like that. It is still a bit sort of flicky. Hmm. This seems to take maybe too long. Raise and lower speed. Let's go 2.5. Let's go again. Yep. Let's just go with it. It's a little loose at the moment, but I think it looks a lot better than jumping when you're flying. Now it just sort of glides. You can dig. You can just walk like a peasant, and you can warp. See, this maybe looks a bit like digging now because it scales to the bottom. Maybe I'll just try and chuck it in this video as well. You know what? I've just got it. I think if I is it the battle unit visual? That's at 0 as well. Now that is a bit hacky, but it would do the trick. Or I could just add another object. Let's mess around and see what happens. So if I scale on the Y, oh, wrong thing. Here's the little dude. Scale on the Y, it goes down. Scale on the Y goes down because this little thing. If I make a game object here and then attach this is 0.6 in the air. This is minus 0.6. Then this thing shrinks, it goes in the middle. Visual. I guess there's nothing really wrong with this, but it does upset the unit. It means you do need to change the unit's position to still have it standing on the ground. So this would be scalar or center scalar maybe. And let's add another script. Entities. Oh, I guess I left it outside. Battle unit center scalar. And that's pretty much it. A battle unit. Okay, it all looks alright still. Let's go for a battle unit. Do the same thing as this. Maybe I'll just give it a little bit of space because it's not really to do with the logic, it's more to do with the visuals. So center scalar. This is maybe terrible. Maybe there's a way of just scaling. Maybe there's a way of scaling in the center anyway. If I have a game object with a visual mesh attached, the visual mesh scale pivot is at the feet. Is there a way to scale the object in the center rather than at the feet without changing the prefab? Something like that. Adjust position while scaling. Calculate the center of the mesh. This might be better than screwing around with the prefab actually and adding a whole other visual. And instead of doing this and manipulating it, you could also use an event. So this would ping out an event saying, I want to fly, and then the battle unit visual will catch the event and move itself up on the Y. Might be one way of doing it. Keeps the logic separated from the visuals as well, which is usually good. Yeah, use a parent object. Yeah. Temporary parent is created at the mesh's center. scale from center. Let's see. Calculate center mesh. Adjust the game's position to compensate. Apply the scale, then move it back. No, I don't think it's really that good. Let's just go with it this way. Battle unit, center, scalar, get component in children. Warp action, please. Where is the warp action? Okay, so instead of the battle unit scaling, we will do battle unit center scalar, do scale, and then back again. So this will hopefully make it look a bit less like you're going into the ground. So fly still looks fine. Ugh, that was weird. Dig, fine. Walk, fine. Oh, did I not actually add the object? Cool. Oh, it didn't add the class, I mean. Center scalar, and that's it. So that is kind of weird looking. It didn't look as bad there. I think it just the one hop made it look a bit weird. Okay, whatever. Let's see. Yeah, yep, cool. Pew, pew. I'm happy with that. So a couple of movement changes, added the dig effect. I'm not actually utilizing the dig effect very well at the moment, just purely in the water. But yeah, it's working at least. So that's enough for this video, and the next one, again, I haven't really thought about what I want to do. Maybe I should get started on the enemies. I think that'll be quite a long one, because I would need to set up the enemies units, which requires some kind of builder. I've seen other code that has a unit factory where you just pass in some kind of data or blueprint and then it creates a unit from that. That's probably a good way of doing it. So yeah, you want to create the unit first, and then we'll create the battle unit for it, and then have some scriptable object, I'm guessing, for an encounter, and then you would add in the units for the encounter, the positions they start in, and then maybe pass in the encounter to some function that starts a battle, and then when you initialize it runs through everything, and then that's just to set the enemies up. Then I've got to do enemy movement, how they decide where they go, enemy attacks, all the AI stuff that'll go into it. So yeah, it's going to be quite long, but it's probably overdue. We need something to attack. So see you in the next one.